I want to talk about this comes from The Information, which of course doesn't let you read the whole story unless you are a subscriber or you join, and I'm not a joiner. So nonetheless, the headline reads as such: Amazon plans for rural deliveries amid Postal Service problems. Now, there's a lot to unpack there. Postal Service problems, well, Amazon's done really well with the USPS up until now. I don't know if the DeJoy issues have slowed them up. Amazon also likes to own everything. So the idea that they're planning for rural deliveries is a very interesting strategy. Obviously, that's a lot of money that the USPS wouldn't get. Bummer for them, bummer for us in general. But I have to wonder if Amazon really appreciates the scope of rural deliveries. It's one thing to do things on a route from distribution centers within a certain number of miles from them. It's another thing to say, we're going to deliver to every address in the country. That is a wholly different task. I'm not saying Amazon's not up to it. If there's any company in the world that's up to it, it is Amazon. But it's interesting, and I'm curious to see what systems they roll out for this and how much money they're willing to invest to make it happen. That's all I got.
Yeah, from this article and then from other readings I found online, it sounds like Amazon is planning on major distribution centers around the United States, local distribution centers located at least one per state, and then rural distributions for the last few miles within the outlying areas. Now, if that seems rather familiar, the model it seems that they're basing this on is the United States Postal System. So yes, we kind of already have that. Thank you, Amazon. What's next?
Well, and Amazon already has that. They have distribution centers.
But they don't have the rural. That's the thing. That's the part that they want to plug in. They want to plug in the super rural. Like you said, every every address in the United States. And they currently count on the United States Postal Service for the outlying areas. And and then their own deliveries and gig deliveries for major areas. I don't know. I hope that the United States Postal System never gets privatized. It's the biggest last bastion of something in this government that actually works, is affordable. It cost me 50 cents to send a letter from coast to coast. Almost guaranteed it's going to get there. And if it's privatized, who knows how much they're going to charge just because they can. And we've already seen that. All of these privatize everything proponents say that, well, competition drives down cost. I've yet to see that happen.
Especially if you live in like the middle of Nevada where there's no people, no roads, and only the post office delivers there now.
It didn't work with the airlines. And I mean, right now it costs you what, $2 or less to do international mail? I mean, like you can send mail from Alaska to PFE, bottom of the world, somewhere, Antarctica, the space station. It doesn't matter. It's cheap as hell.
Right. I mean, that literally is the one thing, and that the Postal Service has going for it, and it's as old as the country itself. I mean, didn't Benjamin Franklin introduce the postal system, set it up, Postmaster General? I mean, come on, it is as American as America. Leave it alone.
Well, I'm of two minds on this one, in the sense that I agree with Tony fully, and there is never a good reason to trust a billionaire with your public infrastructure, ever. I can say this as a person who's worked for government and watched a lot of public-private partnerships that really, in the end, benefited strictly the private and never were the great savings or the great solutions that they were presented as. The other thing we need to fear is that Amazon is notorious. Its whole business model was taking massive losses until it could drive out the competition whether it was brick and mortar bookstores, brick and mortar stores, and even small creators like who used to go to Etsy. So it lowers all the, it will take a complete loss, and they have the pockets to take a massive loss. And then once they are the biggest player on the field, actually raising the cost to it to match what the real costs are and to have their profit. So right now the USPS does not make a profit by intention. It makes more than enough to pay for its costs. It's only being screwed because of a congressional move back, I believe, under Reagan, but can't guarantee
yes,
that.
it was in the 1980s. It was under the Reagan administration that forced them to prepay pensions, something no other company or government entity is ever
Like
even considered
50,
required to do.
60 years in advance.
70
they have to
years.
pay.
Yes.
70 years
Yeah.
in advance. So
Yes.
literally, I was too young to even know it, but I knew that sounded silly. But then I was a kid who didn't trust Reagan. And even now it's sillier and it's still not fixed. The post office is a well-functioning machinery, and all you have to do to test that out is watch UPS throw your package under a bush or something, or the delicate ministrations of FedEx when they kind of frisbee your fragile, important package that you paid $30 for onto your step, which I've seen all three, and frankly, give me USPS every time. But now here's the but. For many rural areas, jobs, and that's why it's seductive. The ability to stay in the area they want to stay in and to provide a support service, that's going to look very attractive to your municipalities. I can, again, speaking as a person who's worked in government, these are very, very, very smart people with degrees and specialties who reach for the easiest, dumbest, most...
Just like the stock market, quarter to quarter. They don't care about the long term.
Yeah, every quarter to quarter, and they come up. They can be easily fooled by bait, and this is good bait.
That's bait.
So capitalism is capitalistic bullshit forced on into your government is just, it's like cocaine covered chocolate for most municipal people, and getting them to say no to it. No, and is the hard part. So I can see where it would be very nice in the rural infrastructure to have this as a job hub, but there's just so much danger in giving Amazon any control over how our packages and mail is delivered that it's one of those 10% not poison is just not enough for me.
Right. And we know the
Advertise
switch is
the
coming.
profits and socialize the costs.
Losses.
Yeah. The Walmart is the same way. It's the same playbook. And I witnessed this in my hometown, small hometown. Main Street is where everybody went to buy everything. If you needed clothes, you knew what store or stores to go to. You knew the people who owned those stores. You went to school with their children. And then Walmart comes in. They plant their big box store just outside city limits, probably got tax incentives to do so. They come in and flood cheap products, drive the small businesses out. And then guess what? Just like Georgia said, prices started going up again, and there's no recovery. There's no recovery from that. This is a slippery slope that we need to try to avoid.
One other thing I want to mention before we move on is Amazon also announced this morning that they are going into the drug business. Yes, Amazon Pharmacy is coming somewhere. Why? Because they want all the money.
Mm-hmm.
That's why.
Right.
Come on down to the company store.
I do like their pill service, whatever. If you have like 3 different prescriptions, they'll pack them into little packets that you take a morning packet, an afternoon packet, and that kind of service is pretty cool.
Paper or are they plastic? Or foil?
I'm sure they're fully landfillable.
But they mail you like a month supply at a time, and you take the Monday morning packet of all your prescriptions. And they already own that business, so it kind of makes sense that they would sell all prescriptions.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I think the big takeaway here is this is a huge undertaking, and that it's never good when one billionaire controls everything.